of the last row of DVDs, and this is sort of my sci-fi collection, I guess you can say. King Kong, Godzilla, Planet of the Apes, Star Wars, Alien, all my David Cronenberg films, Terminator, Highlander, all that good stuff. And this is pretty much my only row here that isn't like horror or sci-fi. I also love cartoons, especially older cartoons like the Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes and Scooby-Doo, but I also really love like the Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, some of the stuff that I grew up watching. So I also have a pretty good collection of like cartoons and weird TV shows like that. I got a little bit of horror over here because it's everywhere in my collection, but a lot of other stuff going on here. So the very last row in these two monoliths here, is not DVDs, but this bottom shelf here is all of my NECA Ultimate Edition figures. And I'm really glad that I displayed them this way, because these figures take up a lot of room on the shelf, because the box art is part of the display, in my opinion, here. Because they just look so great. I mean, look at those, and I just, you know what I mean? I wanted to show these off some way without taking up too much room. And I like the idea of kind of like displaying them like big box VHSs or something like that. But again, I'm running out of room for these, so eventually I was sadly thinking about clearing out these VHSs. Not getting rid of them, but just finding some other place for them so I can fit some more NECA figures. But you guys can see what I got in the collection here. This is the GameStop exclusive Gremlins figure. The new Michael Myers figure. I have some of the video game inspired figures. Pretty much I've tried to get every Jason. There's still a few that just came out I need to get, but I tried to get all the Ultimate Jasons they put out. Really cool. And then I got the Ultimate Godzilla from King Kong versus Godzilla. Cool stuff here. And then this very last shelf here is my VHS tapes, which I love. All these tapes are my favorite VHS tapes here. But like I said, I might have to move these one day to make room for more NECA figures. So I've been trying to figure out what to do with my tapes. I need to try to get a better shelf to put somewhere and display those. But I got some random stuff going on here. Just a stack of VHS tapes here. Different stuff all over the place. Power Rangers, horror movies, Blondie concert. Some big box stuff here. And actually this Puppet Master is actually the Blu-ray release, but I just put it down there with the other big box releases because I thought it looked good down there. Got all my Blade Runner tapes going on there. All my Cronenberg and Anchor Bay and just a bunch of random tapes going on here. But that is it for that shelf there. Let's get moving along here. So, like I mentioned earlier in this video, one of my favorite things to collect right now is the Mattel WWE wrestling figures, especially if it's like a flashback or a legend. I love collecting the wrestlers from when I grew up in the 90s, so really cool stuff here. But I got a lot going on with this display. I have 6 figures in the package up here, kind of the same setup as I had with my Marvel figures. And these I do swap around, so whenever I pick up like a new one or get a figure that I'm excited about, I'll hang it up here. And I have a few spots here reserved right now for some figures that are coming out soon, so always kind of swapping these out with different figures. Even though the Dude Love is there to stay. Mick Foley is my favorite wrestler there. So just like with Daredevil was kind of the highlight of my Marvel display, you guys will soon find out that Mick Foley and all his various characters he portrayed throughout wrestling is kind of the main focus or highlight of my wrestling figure display here. So let's keep moving along down here. So this display right here is one of my favorite things in my collection. I come over and look at this almost every day, and these are just some of my favorite superstars and wrestlers from the 90s. Basically, I don't want to go through all of them, but I'll just kind of highlight some stuff going on here in the back. I got the NWO, Hall and Nash, got Kane and Undertaker hanging out back there. Got most of D-Generation X going on there. And like I said, Mick Foley, my favorite wrestler, I have him in all his gimmicks right in the front there. So his Mankind comedic gimmick, his Mankind like crazy lunatic gimmick, the Dude Love gimmick, and the Cactus Jack gimmick. So those are like pretty much my 4 favorite wrestlers and wrestling figures in the collection, and without them, I don't know if I would have gone on to buy all these. Those pretty much Mick Foley and those ones are kind of what got me into collecting all these newer wrestling figures. And also Sting is my probably second favorite wrestler if I had to pick, especially his crow gimmick from WCW in the 90s. So I have 2 of his figures going on here too. So really cool stuff here. Love this display. I have more wrestling figures going on over there, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's get moving along with what we have here. So real quick before I get to the Steelbook shelf, I'll just show you guys the rest of the action figure displays I have right here. This is sort of my DC display. I'm more of a Marvel guy, but I love Batman especially, and I love Superman and the Justice League and all that good stuff. So I wanted to display these, and I got this awesome Batman shelf to display them on. So really cool stuff here. And these are some more Marvel Legends figures. And I already showed you guys these ones here, but these ones are like the deluxe ones with the vehicles. So I kind of displayed them on this little special Marvel shelf here. Pretty cool, I thought. And actually, might as well just show you guys this really quick. This is another display with some wrestling figures on it. I mean, I got a Blade Runner poster going on there too. But down here I have some of my older wrestling figure sets. These are the ones that I had back when I was younger. I got the triple threat set with all of Mick Foley's gimmicks from back then. Always loved this box set. So glad to have a brand new copy of this in my collection right now. I have some more box sets down there. And actually this last shelf on this little display here is all my record collection, which is actually my most recent pickup. This is the soundtrack to David Cronenberg's The Fly with like a special lenticular cover on it, limited edition, 2,000 copies. Pretty cool. Found that at Barnes & Noble. I was like, definitely buying that. But that's what I got going on in that little shelf there. Let's get back over here and I'll quickly show you guys what's going on with the Steelbook shelf. So I almost got a complete shelf of Steelbooks. A little bit of a section there, so I can still collect. Be running out of room soon, but you know, I'll figure something out when that happens. Let's go through what I got. First off here, I have all of the Universal Monster Best Buy exclusive Steelbooks sealed. I have this was like a Universal Monster Walmart exclusive Steelbook that just came out recently. Couldn't believe that when I saw that. Bought that. All of my Arrow Video Steelbooks. You guys want to take a look and see all the ones I got there? I got the most recent one too, which is the Last House on the Left release there. Moving down to the second row, I have my Synapse Steelbooks, which are probably some of my favorite Steelbooks in my entire collection, especially the Phenomena and Tenebrae and Suspiria releases. Just love those. Some of the best looking Steelbooks ever. all of my Scream Factory Steelbooks, which I have pretty much all of them, except there's one that just came out, one of the Roger Corman ones, and there's a few more Roger Corman ones coming out. But I think other than that, so far I have all of the Scream Factory horror Steelbooks, and just some random Steelbooks going on at the end here. Down here, whoop, next row here, I got my Mondo Steelbooks, Pet Cemetery one, most recent addition to the Mondo collection. Some of these random Best Buy Steelbooks, couldn't believe they did a Steelbook for David Cronenberg's The Fly, had to get that. And, you know, just some random Steelbooks that I've collected throughout the years. That's pretty much it, kind of, for like the horror stuff, just kind of the first couple rows there, and the rest of these are just kind of random Steelbooks. I like to get the ones that look uniform next to each other. They've done that a few times, so whenever they do that, I like to pick some of those up. I like when Universal has done that well a few times, so I like that. Some Batman, and pretty much all of those DC animated Steelbooks. Anytime I see one, especially at Target, I'll grab it. So I have a bunch of those. Next row here, got most of the Star Wars films on Steelbook. I got the Blade Runner 2049. Just some random Steelbooks going on there. Some of the Shout Factory Steelbooks I have too. Bill and Ted and all that good stuff. And this last row here is just kind of the rest of the collection. Top Gun, Independence Day, Sin City, you know, just kind of really random stuff here. But that is it for the Steelbook shelf there. So let's move on to the rest of the collection. So over here, there's not too much going on with this little shelf here. We just got some books, some of my recording equipment down there that I use for the band I'm in, and some video game stuff. I'm really behind on video games. I got the PlayStation 2, and that's about it. And I got the the Nintendo Mini Classic thing that they put out recently. But I don't play too much video games anymore. I wish I had time for it, but just don't have as much time for that as I would like anymore. But like I mentioned, I have a bunch more wrestling figures going on over here. So this is sort of my main wrestling figure display, especially the loose figures there. But over here I have a lot more wrestling figures going on. So kind of sealed in the background there are some of the Attitude Era figures. Sorry about the glare from my fan. I can't really do too much about that. But these are some of the... These were Amazon.com exclusives, and then they were sort of like ringside exclusives too. But I picked all of those up. I was actually hoping they were going to put a few more of those out, the Attitude Era ones, because that's the era of wrestling that I grew up watching. But I grabbed the 4 they put out. Stone Cold, Triple H, Chris Jericho, one of my favorite wrestlers, and The Rock, of course. And in front of that, I just have some random wrestlers displayed. I have a good chunk of my Chris Jericho collection there. He's another one of my favorite wrestlers, so I have a few of his figures displayed there. And down here I have all of the Retro Fest figures that Game. But I have some more of the Mick Foley figures sealed there. I have some of the Ultimate Edition figures. These just came out. A really cool Hardy Boys 2-pack they put out. So that's pretty much it for the wrestling figures. This shelf is my bookshelf. I will go through this pretty quick here. I like to collect a lot of weird sci-fi, horror paperbacks, and movie tie-in books. So that's pretty much the main focus of my book collection there. Even though I don't read too many books anymore. Again, kind of wish I had more time for that also, or just wish I could make time for that. And down here I have some comic books going on. A lot of Daredevil comic books, cool stuff there. And just more sci-fi and movie tie-in books here. I thought this was pretty cool. I got the 2 movie tie-in books for I Know What You Did Last Summer and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which I love both of these films. But I also have this like old school copy of I Know What You Did Last Summer. This like definitely came out before the movie did, because the book and the story was actually around before the movie came out. And I just found that really interesting. It almost looks like it could be like a VHS cover to like if this movie had came out in the 80s or something like that. So really weird. There, in this last row here is sort of like my video game row. And like I said, I don't have a lot of video games. I got some PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 classics. And that is pretty much it. I also have a Nintendo DS, so I got a few Nintendo DS games, and that's about it there. So let's just wrap this video up. Over here is some more posters. I have my Hammer poster, Elvira, Debbie Harry, gotta have that stuff. Over here is just kind of like a random shelf. I got some CDs. The rest of my VHS collection, Friday the 13th. Actually, this bottom shelf is all Universal Monster tapes. Really hard to see down there. And let's just end it over here. So over here is just kind of a random wall with some stuff hanging on it. Got my Phenomena poster, which that's a legit Phenomena, like Italian movie poster from the 80s. So really glad to have that. Blade Runner, Laserdisc, Friday the 13th, Jason mask, and just some random Marvel stuff. But alright guys, that is the collection there. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Went on a little bit longer than I wanted it to. But either way, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.